Hello, you guys. It is Stephanie from Unveiling the Spirit. I know it's been a while since I've made a video. I'm usually pretty busy with my kids, um, distance learning, my coaching, and also I'm in the process of revising the third book in my 9-part series called God, Why Am I Not Married? 9 Reasons You Might Still Be Single. I'm hoping to be done with that within the next few weeks here, and then I'll be able to make videos more regularly. But until then, I am out running some errands. There's some peace and quiet in the car. I have a few minutes, and so I want to go ahead and squeeze a video in. So today, what I want to talk about, or what I want to unveil the spirit about, because that's what I do. I like to unveil spiritual truths and principles and a little bit more deeper information when it comes to certain topics, issues, and things like that. And so what I want to do that about today is not allowing your experiences with people's shortcomings, their flaws, and even their evils to blur your perception of God. The reason why I want to talk about that is because in light of all this racial tension in America that we have right now, I hear a lot of black people saying Christianity is a fake religion, it's a white man's religion, and that for the most part it just can't be trusted. And I want to shed some light on that today, that sometimes we have to dig a little bit deeper if we want to understand the truth of things, and especially to find God in the midst of all this craziness that goes on in this world. But this video is not just for, black people who have a problem with Christianity because of racism, but this video can be used for anybody who has had a bad experience with someone professing to be Christian, and as a result has developed a negative perception of not only Christianity but God and even the Bible. And so again, I want to shed a little bit of light on that today, and if you guys are open to a different perspective on it, or somebody who might need a different perspective on it, here we go out in the video. So the first thing I want to say before I get into explaining why that's not necessarily the case, or even a very good thorough judgment, is that I do understand why black people say that. It's very difficult to receive some type of higher moral authority or truth for someone who is not treating you right. And so this is not even in the case of just, the stuff that we go through today with people lying and cheating and judging and mistreating people and claiming to be Christian. Even from slavery era, we're talking about people who are enslaving you, raping you, lynching you, murdering you, taking you from your children. I totally understand why you would not want to take any moral authority or truth from that person. It is actually very normal to do that, and that's kind of what I want to get into, because we have to be leery of people who are professing one thing but living something totally different. And so for people who are not actually portraying the principles that Christianity teaches, yes, you should not take the example from them or trust their word when it comes to a higher moral authority. I would even compare this to my own personal experience, my own recent personal experience, that I actually left my church because of this. I was a member there for about 5 or 6 years, an active member for the last half of it. And as in the wake of everything that was going on, my pastor started promoting white supremacist ideology in the church, and I left. I was not only really upset that he was doing that, but I was even bothered by the fact that it seemed a lot of people in the church was in agreement with what he was doing. And so I did leave the church. I have never left the church before in my entire life, and I've been a Christian for almost 20 years. The reason why I've never left the church before, because I never expected pastors to be perfect, and I do think people have a responsibility to read the Bible from themselves instead of just following their pastor all the time, which is what a lot of people do. But I left, and even when I would come into contact with people who still were there, and they would say, did you hear the service that pastor so-and-so spoke last week or this week? I didn't want to hear it. I don't even care if he preached a good service or anything like that, because he had totally discredited himself to me as someone that I can rely upon for understanding the truth or leading me to the truth. And so I do understand that. And, again, for people who have been mistreated by people who profess to be Christians, I do understand why you do that. I did a video recently about the demise of Christianity, and I do think it's really unfortunate that you have so many people professing to be Christian, but they're not actually living it. And so I do understand it, but the difference is, and this is why I say you have to dig a little bit deeper, is that while I can hold my pastor accountable for the words that came out of his mouth and the direction that he he wants to take his church in. I cannot hold Christianity accountable for that, because he did not create Christianity. Slave owners did not create Christianity. Colonialists did not create Christianity. People who are racist or whatever, or mistreating other people in the name of Christianity, those people did not create Christianity. So if Christianity actually came out of the Atlantic slave trade era, and so you, during this time where you have these group of men, these group of white guys, they're like enslaving people and brutalizing them and raping them and things like that. Now out of this era comes this religion that's supposed to be the guiding light for moral authority. No, I wouldn't want to have anything to do with Christianity either. And I think anybody who would is not very intelligent, I should say. And so, but these people did not create Christianity. As a matter of fact, if you really want to go to who created Christianity, because some people see it as a white religion, Jewish people created Christianity. And the fact that, or Christianity came out of Jewish culture. And so the fact that you have so many people who see Christianity as a white religion, and even subconsciously or consciously, to me is just a case of cultural appropriation. For those of you who might not know, during the colonial era, it wasn't uncommon for these colonialists to go to different countries and interact with different people and take parts of their culture, their language, their music and things like that, and adopt them for themselves, and not even give credit or pay homage to where they got it from. I mean, even here in America, this land was stolen from Native Americans, but then we have sports teams with Indian heads and street names with Indian names. I mean, street names that are Indian, and city names that are Indian, but there's no respect whatsoever paid to those people. And so in the same respect, because Christianity did come from Jewish culture, which is in the Middle East, and now it is, taken and seen as a white religion. Jesus is made white. People in the story, some of the people in the stories of the Bible, they're made white. And then even the people who came over here to this country did so with this thinking of manifest destiny, which is basically painting themselves as God's chosen people. This is nothing more than cultural appropriation. And so we have to be very careful that we don't fall for the narrative, because there's a lot of history that has been whitewashed in favor of white supremacy. And if we fall for it, we're actually empowering white supremacy. We have to dismantle these things and get to the truth in order to actually not only find the truth, but also find God in these things. Not only is this a sign of cultural appropriation, but the part of the narrative or the lie about it comes from the fact that Christianity was spread, Africa was colonized for the purpose of spreading Christianity. This is not true also. If Christianity came from Jewish people in the Middle East, there is absolutely no way that Christianity would not have been even in some parts of Africa. There was a documentary done by Louis Gates Jr. on PBS who revealed through proof and documentation that Christianity was in Africa before it was colonized. So this whole idea that Africa was colonized for the sake of spreading Christianity is not true also. And so it even points to more so that Christianity is not a white religion. So that's the first reason. The first reason being that they did not create Christianity. The second reason is the Bible itself does not endorse a lot of the things that these people are doing. The Bible doesn't endorse slavery. The Bible doesn't endorse one race as being superior than the other. The Bible does not endorse colonizing. The Bible does not endorse lying, cheating, stealing, raping, murdering, mistreating. The Bible does not endorse these things. So again, if the Bible came from this era, I keep saying area, I don't know why. If the Bible came from this era of slavery, from these group of white guys claiming to have a higher moral authority, and created a book that advocates these things, that makes it seem as though these things are okay to do in the name of God or whatever, then yes, I would say absolutely I don't want to have anything to do with Christianity. But not only does the Bible not do this, but the Bible even warns you to be leery of people who do this. I know some people will say, well, what about the Old Testament? That in the Old Testament, God advocated for slavery. This is not true. And I don't want to go too much into detail in explaining this, but I will say, even if you think this is true, that the Bible and the Old Testament advocated for slavery, you also have to acknowledge that the same Bible said, be careful how you treat your slaves, because you will answer to God for that. People have a very bad habit of thinking that just because something is in the Bible automatically means that it's okay with God, when really the Bible is about stories about people and the decisions they made, and it shows how God responded to these people and interacted with these people. So more or less, it's like saying, if you guys are going to have a system of slavery, the least you can do is be careful how you treat your slaves. I mean, that's a kind of a watered down version of, my perception of it. And like I said, I don't want to go too far in that direction, but basically the Bible does not advocate mistreating people, raping people, and even, certain, those same parts of the Old Testament that can be attributed to that says to free your slaves after a certain amount of time. So not only does it say to be careful how you treat them, but at some point you should be giving these people their freedom. And so, we just have to be careful of, associating all of these negative things with Christianity when the book itself says that these things are not right. I mean, even look at Jesus. When he came on the scene, he was calling out the Pharisees at the time who were supposed to be representing him. He was letting them know, no, you do not represent me, and letting people know that this is the type of things that they were doing did not accurately represent God. Not only that, the Bible itself tells you that you will have many people who will profess to be Christian. They will teach doctrine and promote ideologies that do not accurately represent Christ. So why blanket the Bible with their behavior when the Bible itself tells you about these things, when the Bible itself warns you about these kinds of people? Even when it comes to slavery and things like that, the idea that slavery was wrong came from the Bible, because before Europeans were enslaved Africans, they were enslaving each other, and then they got the idea from the Bible that enslaving their fellow white Christians was wrong. The thing about it when it comes to Africans is that they had to dehumanize us, say that Christianity was not in Africa, and dehumanize us so that in that instance the Bible would not apply, which is a bunch of malarkey. But again, I don't want to go too much into that. And so the Bible never, but the idea that slavery was wrong, they actually got it from the Bible. Even when slave owners were attempting to convert their slaves to Christianity or spread Christianity amongst their slaves, they actually did so by removing key passages from the Bible that exposed that what they were doing was wrong. They even took out the book of Exodus, which is a story about slaves overthrowing their master and God being on the side of the slaves. And so the Bible in no way advocates this behavior. So there's not a very fair or thorough judgment to now group the Bible together with people who are doing the opposite of what the Bible is saying people who are Christians should be doing. The thing is, if you really want to judge Christianity, you must do so from Christ. I mean, Christian comes from, Christ. And so to be a Christian means that you believe in and you live by the principles that Christ taught. If you're not doing that, then you are not a Christian. And so if you want to, again, judge Christianity, look at Christ. Look at the words he spoke. Look at the examples he gave. There is documentation outside of the Bible for the type of man that Christ was. Even, I believe I read a quote by Gandhi that said he liked Jesus, but he didn't like Christians. Even Jewish people who don't necessarily believe that he was God's son still see Christ as a good man. Even the Muslims, who also do not believe that Jesus was Christ's son, identifies him as a prophet. So if you want to judge Christianity, look at Christ. Look at the type of person he was. Even if you want to look outside of the Bible, you can still look outside of the Bible. There are kings and things that was alive during that time that wrote things about Christ, and no one had any evil or low down dirty things to say about him, that he was lying, cheating, stealing. Even to this day, thousands of years after his death, you don't hear people saying bad stuff about Christ. I mean, that says a lot. And so if you want to judge Christianity, look at Christ. And and don't use people now to judge Christ. We should be using Christ, the standards that he gave, to now examine people and what they really represent, and if they are who they claim to be. personally, me as a black person, I don't want to, with everything that racism has taken from us, even blacks here in America and Africans over still in Africa, because a lot of the problems Africa has today still stems from colonization. I feel like they have taken so much from us that I refuse to allow them to take God from me too. The truth is that when we look at people, the people that mistreat us, and then use them to blanket or hide or blur our perception of God, we're actually giving those people way too much power than they actually have. I mean, if I have to stand before God and then he asks me, you know, why didn't you ever come to me or talk to me or reach out to me or try to get to know me for yourself instead of taking other people's word for it? I refuse to say, well, Jim down the block mistreated me, or Tom that ran the church said this to me. I mean, come on. Like, I'm not going to allow these people to stop me from seeing God, to stop me from connecting with my Creator. Now, if you read the words of Christ and you study the things that he said, and you know, look at other things, because you can go outside of the Bible. It doesn't mean like you have to stick to the Bible and that's it. And then you come to the conclusion that no, you don't agree with who he represented, who he said he was, then fine. But don't let somebody else come and make that choice for you without you getting all the information that you need for yourself to make that type of choice, because this is serious. We're talking about the creator of the universe, our God, and where we will spend eternity. Don't let one or two people or even a group of people deter you from your eternal destination, or who you really are, or who you were created to be. So basically, that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today, and again, reveal a different perspective or a deeper perspective on, you know, not allowing these type of things to blur our perception of God. Me building my own relationship with God, which has been such a transforming blessing in my own life, didn't necessarily come from people pushing Christianity to me, but actually from me trying to find God for myself. I wasn't looking through any religion. I wasn't saying, you know, I'm only going to look at the Muslim God or the Christian God or the other other religions' gods. I was just so desperate at the time, which I can make a video about that later, with how disappointed and hurt I was about life, that I was just like, you know, just to give an picture, I was just like looking up to the sky saying, God, where are you? God, where are you? And because my heart was open to receiving him, not through a particular lens or not through the way some other people may have treated me, God then revealed himself to me, and it has transformed my life in ways that I could have never imagined. And I hate to think that people would miss out on that love and that understanding and that clarity and that relationship with your creator, simply because some people are using their free will to and basically lying on God to deter you from that. So anyway, that's basically what I want to talk about. If you guys have any questions or comments or feedback, you know, please feel free to message me or leave comments below. I am a life coach, life and relationship coach. So if you need some help sorting through these things that you have experienced in your own life, to kind of separate the experiences that you have from actually who God is, I'll be more than happy to help you with that. Also, I do offer a lot of free sessions, and so if you want to contact me for that, that's great too. But other than that, I do need to get back to my errands and, you know, see about my kids. And so you guys have a blessed day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.